Yeah, why?
Do you view the transition to a low carbon economy as an important area of investment for New Zealand?
Yeah, it's absolutely vital.
And if so, how should our government promote the research, development and deployment of new green technologies and sustainable practices to Kiwi businesses?
Well, it can do it by a number of ways. It can certainly incentivise it. We're funding it through a number of research areas, and we're leading the Global Agricultural Alliance, which is one of the areas where technology will lead the world.
Furthermore, do you think that green jobs have a role in reducing New Zealand's unemployment problems and contributing to a safe future?
Well, they certainly have a role. I'm not convinced that they'll act to reduce our unemployment, because green tech jobs will be replacing the sorts of jobs that will be lost as we move away from a fossil economy, if you like. So there's a lot of, it'll probably actually act as a barrier to employment, because for every new green tech job we might lose 2 or 3 blue ones.
Okay, in your opinion, is the emissions trading scheme an equitable system which delivers the right economic signals and incentives to emitters?
Yeah, it is, and we know that because since the ETS came into being on the 1st of July 2010, for the first time in 3 years we're now meeting our Kyoto Protocol obligations, and for a significant reason the ETS is that reason.
Do you think that we need any changes to the ETS to make it more effective, and if so, which kind of changes would you call for?
Well, we've planned the gradual introduction of agriculture into the ETS from 2015. That's subject to review the year before, but it's already in law. And we're also gradually phasing out some of the subsidies to business that have been introduced as part of the transition. So there's a lot of those already built into the current scheme.
Okay, and what are your opinions on expanding New Zealand's fossil fuel industries?
Well, I actually support it, because I think that fossil fuel will be with us for the next 2 generations, maybe 3. The transition to new technologies will be a slow one. So the question is, while we live in a fossil economy, is it right for New Zealand to not exploit its competitive advantage in that area? And I say no, I think we should be exploring for oil and gas.
Okay, so what do you see as the main future sources of energy for New Zealand apart from fossil fuels?
Well, New Zealand already has a high renewable energy profile, but one of the highest in the world. So because we will need more electricity if we move away from fuel, oil and gas, and because our population will increase, we're going to need to double our electricity generation. So our traditional strengths are in hydro and geothermal, and I think we'll be complementing that with a number of new technologies. We're already investing in wind, and things like tidal power I think will come on stream as the technology develops.
And do you think that the government should be giving more support to renewable energy industries?
Well, I think they are in the sense that the ETS is going to favour renewables. Now, that's a gradual process. It started in that way, and we've seen an increase in the proportion of renewable energy being used. So I think we've already got the incentives right to encourage renewable electricity and other energy sources.
Do you support the reallocation of spending on new roads toward low carbon and public transport initiatives?
No, I don't, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, a lot of our public transport uses those roads, buses obviously in our urban and intercity networks. Secondly, we had to invest very heavily to account for large population increases in places like Auckland, Tauranga and the south end of Christchurch. And thirdly, that's what people are choosing to do. They are, regardless of the alternatives, including bus and train services, continuing to want to use their cars, and that's the Kiwi way.
How do you feel that Dunedin can best reduce its emissions as a community?
Well, that's a good question. I hadn't really looked at Dunedin's profile as separate from the rest of the country. But I guess as householders, having better insulated homes, moving away from log and coal burners, making increasing use of electricity-fired heat pumps and so on from a domestic consumption perspective, and driving a little less probably would be the main ways that Dunedinites can contribute.
Just finally, do you think that New Zealand's current position on climate change is acceptable, and what role should our government play to ensure that our domestic and international commitments on climate change are met?
Yes, I do. I think it's a pragmatic response to from a very small emitter who's seen by the rest of the world as somewhat punching above its weight. So we need to continue to contribute meaningfully to those climate change negotiations, and Durban in November and December is going to be a very important part of that process.
And is there anything that us and the New Zealand public could do to convince the government to take any more drastic action?
Oh, just keep talking, doing what you're doing now. I think it's excellent that you're contributing in this way, and well done to you. But let's just keep the dialogue going.
Cool.
Was that all right?
Yeah, very good. That was great.